The Book of Giants, the oldest layer of the flood story, cut out of scripture before the canon ever closed, records the Nephilim watching their own destruction in a dream, and then carrying that dream to the one man allowed to read it. If suppressed history and the texts they removed from scripture are what you came for, subscribe right now and hit the bell. This channel goes straight to the manuscripts, and the fragment numbers mainstream scholarship never connects. Now, let's go deeper. It was not lost. It was buried. Cut from the record before the councils ever finished deciding what you were allowed to read, and then gone for the better part of 2,000 years. Until 1947, when a shepherd threw a rock into a cave above the Dead Sea, and the caves at Qumran gave it back, in broken Aramaic, on torn pieces of skin, one line surviving where 10 had been. And the first question it forces on you is simple. When the giants saw the end coming, who did they run to? Scholars gave the fragments cold catalog names: 4Q530, 4Q531, 4Q532, 4Q203, 1Q23. Read those numbers again. Those are not chapter markers. Those are the cave tags of a book they took out, written in the same hand and the same world as the Book of Enoch, older than most of the books that stayed in the Bible. The fragments name the giants. Two of them stand out, Ohia and Hahia, sons of the fallen watcher Shemihaza, part of the brood born on Mount Hermon after the watchers came down. Both of them wake up screaming. Same night, same terror, from a warning neither one asked for. Ask yourself what it takes to make a giant wake up screaming. Then ask what they saw. Here is what the text records. In the fragment marked 4Q530, Haya tells his brothers a dream. He sees a great tablet. He sees gardeners watering a garden. And then the water comes, and the fire comes with it, and the whole garden is wiped out, every green thing drowned and burned at once. When it is over, of all the writing on that tablet, only a few names are left. A handful survive. Everything else is gone. Then the second dream. Oyaz. He sees a ruler seated on a throne. He sees the roots of the great trees torn out of the ground. He sees the trees thrown down, all of them but 3, left standing in the ruin. Read them plainly, before anyone interprets a thing. A garden drowned, trees uprooted, a judgment that leaves almost nothing standing. This is a flood. It is coming for them, and they have seen it in advance. But here is the part that should unsettle you. The 2 giants who dreamed it cannot read it. They wake with those pictures burning behind their eyes and no idea what they mean. And the fragments, at that exact moment, reach for someone else, one figure. They give him a single title, one word. The scribe, not a name, a title. And that word is about to decide everything. The scribe, that is the word the Aramaic reaches for. And in the tradition that word is parisha, the separated one, the distinguished one, the one set apart to read what no one else can. It is not a name. It is a title, and only one man in the entire record fits it. Hold that for a second, because before we ever reach him, these broken fragments do something that should not be possible. Read down the list of giants, the scroll names, and you hit a word that stops you cold. One of the giants is called Gilgamesh. Say it out loud, Gilgamesh, inside an Aramaic scroll about the Nephilim. That is not a coincidence you can wave away. The king of Uruk, the hero of the oldest epic humanity ever wrote down, is standing right here in a Jewish text about the sons of the fallen watchers, and he is not alone. A few lines over, another giant carries the name Hobabish. That is Humbaba, the beast who guards the cedar forest in the Sumerian epic. The guardian Gilgamesh marches out to kill, lifted whole out of that story and set down intact in the Aramaic. The same monster, the same hero, copied out of Sumer and buried in the caves at Qumran. Here is what the mainstream does with this. Open almost any scholarly note on the Book of Giants, and you find the same quiet verdict. Folklore. An Enochic footnote, a late colorful embroidery on the serious material, but folklore does not name your enemy's hero by name. Hold that against the scholar's word for this book. A text that pulls Gilgamesh and Humbaba by name into a record of the coming flood is not idle storytelling. It is stitched into the oldest layer of the ancient Near East, the same world that carved the flood onto clay tablets in the first place. Before we move on, stop for a second. What you just heard is the part that changes everything, but it only makes sense written out next to the original notation. The passages, the chapter cross-references, the translated text, I put all of it into a written document. It's linked below, and the QR code is on your screen. Take 5 seconds, grab it, and come back, because what comes next builds directly on it. Now sit with the problem the giants have. They have the dream, the drowned garden, the trees ripped up by the roots. Hahya dreamed one, Ohya the other, and still the words on the tablet stayed shut to them. They have the title of the one man who can read it, the Parisha. But the one reader they need is not standing among them. Turn it over. They own the warning and they cannot open it. The interpreter has a title and no address, because the man who holds that title was taken off the earth. He did not die. The record says he walked, and then he was simply gone, carried away to the very ends of the world, to a place no giant has ever set foot. To reach him, someone would have to leave the ground itself, and so the giants do the one thing a giant should never be able to do. They give one of their own wings, and they send him up into the sky to find the man who vanished. Wings. They give one of their own wings. His name is Mahaway, son of the Watcher Barakel, and he lifts off the ground and flies, past the desert, across the whole earth, to the very ends of the world, to the one place a man was taken and never died. He does not stop. The fragments have him crossing the whole earth, the desert falling away beneath him, until he reaches the far edge where the ground ends. And there, waiting, is the one figure the traditions set apart, the scribe, the Parisha, the separated one, the only man the doomed giants could run to. The man at the ends of the earth is Enoch. Let that land. The giants ran their death dream to the one man Scripture says walked with God and vanished. Genesis gives him one strange line. He walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Taken. Off the earth. Never dead. And in these buried Aramaic fragments, that vanished man is exactly where the giants send their messenger, because he is the only one who can read what they saw. Mahaway lands. He tells Enoch the two dreams, the great tablet, and the garden drowned in water and fire, the throne and the roots torn up, and the trees thrown down. And Enoch reads them. The tablet is God's verdict, the water is the flood, and the giants are the writing that will be washed away. Read the dream again with his verdict on it. The giants are not the gardeners. They are the writing that gets washed off the tablet. Only a few names survived on that tablet, because only a few would survive the water. The drowned garden was their world. The uprooted trees were their fathers and their kind, pulled out at the root. They dreamed their own erasure, and they could not read a word of it, so they flew it to the one man who could. And he told them what it meant. It meant them. Sit with that. The monsters of the flood, the giant sons of the Watchers, begged the one righteous man on earth to read their death sentence, and he read it as their end. The text does not say the giants repented. It does not say they were spared. What the structure suggests is stranger and quieter than that. The record of the judgment ran through Enoch's hands first. The doomed carried the verdict to the very man trusted to read it. Before the water rose, the sentence was already written, already read aloud, already understood, by the one who would outlive them all. And look at what stands at the center of every thread we followed. The Aramaic scribe. The Sumerian giant Gilgamesh dropped into the same fragments. The Enoch of the canon, walking with God and taken. Different languages, different centuries, the same single figure set apart to read the warning, while everyone around him is swept off the page. That is why this book was never yours to open. Someone made very sure of it, cut before the canon closed, left out, filed as folklore. Someone did not want you reading the passage where the giants themselves name Enoch as the one who read their doom, and it survived anyway. In 11 broken fragments in a cave, it survived. If the texts they buried are what you came for, subscribe and hit the bell. This channel goes straight to the fragments mainstream scholarship never connects. Tell me in the comments which source carries the most weight for you, the Aramaic, the Sumerian, or Enoch's own hand. And the next warning the giants left behind is already waiting for you. Go read it.